Hello, hello. This is Stephen R of Zygote, and you are dialed in to the Architects and Heroes live stream show. It has been quite a while. We've been on hiatus for quite some time, and we are back today with a very, very special guest. So, my guest tonight has been involved in underground dance music since the 90s. He's got a pedigree that is a mile long. If you go check out his Insomniac bio, it kind of breaks down what he's done. He hosted the pirate radio show TRUESKOOL Beat Show on Tribal Underworld.com. He's hosted guests from LA and around the world. Truly, truly passionate about underground dance music. I now present to you, ladies and gentlemen, Maximilian, my man. What's going on, man?
How you doing, man? Well, quick correction. I changed my name to Maximus Grooves because I felt like it was more fitting for the times. You know what I mean?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for being on the show. Apologies for the mistaken identity. I feel like you Clark Kented me, like you just sort of like you had your like from one secret disguise to the next, and I love it. I love it. So before we jump into the name change, which by the way I think is that's mad love. This is I think about the blessed Madonna, right, and how she went through a rebranding, a name change as well.
Yeah.
It's really, really an honor for me to have you on the show, coming back like this. So where I'd like to start is I'd like for you to tell me a little bit about your background, how you got started in this thing of ours, and where you're headed and what you're doing today.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, so much has happened since young teenage years. Being young, wild, and just trying to do fun things. Because when it began, for me, it was the raving world was just a world to escape. My school wasn't, it was a bunch of jocks, football players. My school was mainly focused on that, but I just, I never really got along with the rest of the bunch like everyone else. So I was kind of like the outskirt guys. But I found the rave scene in I think it was 1990, December 1990. Man, when I discovered the rave scene, knew right away that that was something that was going to be in my life for the rest of my life. And I knew for the instant, for my first party, Apocalypse One, which was at this place in San Diego in this like maze looking location. It was crazy. It was a new time, the music was just starting to come out here in LA. We were lucky to have already events going like Flammable Liquid. And I was underage when I started going out to these events. The warehouse parties that we used to go to were broken into warehouse parties, where they would literally cut the lock and set up the speakers and, get the party going. And that's the culture that I come from. It's a beautiful culture that nobody knew was going to become this big and this massive to the where it is today. It kind of went through the same phase that hip hop went through, when it was considered a fad, like, oh, it's gonna go away, but then it took over the world. I feel like techno and old school break beats and all of that kind of style of music was jungle, drum and bass, but that came at a later time after the breakbeat movement. I feel like that it was so like wild at the time that people didn't think that it was going to become so popular and so big. The beginning of the rave scene was beautiful. I mean, the memories that I and many others share through this time, it's just like it was fuel. Like everything was brand new. The music that you were hearing, you would never hear this stuff anywhere. You couldn't hear the stuff on the radio. So we have to go out and find the locations. And then back then you didn't have, the good old iPhone. Like you had a Thomas map guide and you had to find your way to the club or to the underground. And then in some undergrounds, they will drop the flyers by the trash can, the address by the trash can. So you would have to find the trash can that was like, had all the addresses on the floor. And it was it was beautiful. It was like it was mystical. It was like something that mysterious. It was like, wow, what am I getting into? Like, what is this music? Like, where's this coming from? Like, what's a DJ? Like, wow, it was like it's something that just completely changed my life. I got sucked into that world at a young age that I was lost. I was a shell, like many people when they're growing up. They're trying to find themselves, these young generations. Every generation tries to find themselves and figure out what they want to do and what they want to be. Well, I knew right away when I got into the racing that this is something that's going to be embedded in my DNA. This is it, for life. So with all that said, like time went on, 2 years later, 3 years later, you got Insomniac, Insomniac event popping up. But let me rewind a little bit. Before that, we had Nodos, we had the after hours. After hours would start like at 2 a.m. and go to like 8 a.m. Then you go to the next after hours, which was like Sketchpad on a Sunday. I mean, we really party. We had a schedule from like, let me see, Wednesday all the way through Monday. And then obviously you have to go to school and then redo it all over again on Thursday. Like that was like the thing that we had to do because it was like a small group of kids at the time that were doing this warehouse thing. So it wasn't like a huge, massive amount of people, and you knew pretty much everybody in that little group or in sectors. It wasn't divided. It wasn't tribes like how it is now, where you have different people and their groups and cliques. Back then it was just one big clique, and everybody knew each other. It was very friendly. I remember we were at Nodos and I witnessed a stabbing next to me. This is, I believe, DJ Dan might have been playing. My friend Frank Reed One, shout outs to AWR. He was there with me when this happened, and but things like that were happening before Insomniac became Insomniac. It was very sketchy to go out. Basically, that's what I'm saying. It was like very sketchy, and you didn't know where you were going, and you don't know what you were getting into, but it was sure going to be magical, I'll tell you that. And yeah, all those nights were very magical to me. They hold a special moment. The 90s holds a special moment in my heart. But then Insomnia comes about, and now I want to be part of this. I want to keep moving forward. How do I get involved? Like, what at the time Pasquale was becoming, Pasquale, the promoter, and he witnessed that I was staying up all night, flyering in the cars, just doing the thing, because back then our social media wasn't Instagram or Facebook. It was like, and please, interrupt me anytime. I know I can keep
No,
going.
no,
And
no, no.
talking.
You know what? Honestly, I'm just digging the stories.
So, by those times I became a promoter. I wanted to be able to get into clubs. I had to figure out a way. So I created the way of, okay, here's a flyer for you, come into a club, blah, blah, blah. And then we started doing that. Promoters will start crisscrossing promotions and flyers, and that's when you started seeing promoters outside of other events passing flyers. But we were the original like flyer people that were like passing out to handing it out to persons and saying, hey, check this out. Don't just put it in your pocket. This is something you want to come check out. It's something you've never seen before, music you never heard before. And next thing you know, you got 1,000 people. Insomnia got 1,500 people. Then they got 2,000 people. Then they reach 50,000 people, and Herb puts them in the map and says, Herb Magazine says that this was one of the biggest events by Insomnia.
Yeah, okay. Herb Magazine was my Bible for the longest time, and wow, there's a lot to unpack in everything you said, but I just want to do a quick shout out to Raymond Roker right now.
Yes, shout out.
Who, by the way, I don't know if you knew this or not, but does a monthly drum and bass night still.
I think so. I did hear
over in Pasadena. Like, and I love that he's like, okay, once a month, I'm gonna pull out the drum and bass records and I'm gonna go drop stuff over in Pasadena. And he's such a prolific guy too. But I used to think that Herb was and not think, but know that Herb was like the Bible for all things underground electronic music for stateside.
Absolutely.
I was also an IDM head, and so obviously there are different pockets, like you said, as it evolved from because really I kind of jumped in. I jumped in early '90s somewhat. I did one event with Freaky Chakra and Single Cell Orchestra when I was in college in Dallas, but this would already like '96, right? So it was kind of already on its way, right? And
Yeah.
there was a radio show in Dallas because I went to SMU as an undergrad, and there was a radio show called Edge Club '94, which was run by Jeff K. Shout out Jeff K. And Merritt and DJ Merritt, and they would have everybody who would come through, and there was a bunch of undergrounds that were happening in Dallas at the time.
Oh, wow.
Like it was really popping off. But that's, mine was like a much smaller event, and it was a fundraiser for a nonprofit, and they both graciously gave of their time. We flew them out here, out to Dallas, and it was great. And that's how I really established my relationship with the underground electronic music scene in San Francisco, which was my first hook in.
Nice. San
But
Francisco,
to kind of, oh man, yeah, I can. There's a whole
Woo.
whole bunch. We can just spend the next hour talking about that.
A whole day on
Oh yeah,
Theft
a whole week.
stories.
There's so many stories. And but the funny thing was the connective tissue. And this is what I loved about Herb, is that they always would have scene reports for like Seattle, Los Angeles. And I would always like scope out what's going on, because in the era before social media, 1000% correct that they're like, your social media is like, you either had access to underground like digital bulletin boards like rave nets or whatever.
Right.
You remember how they used to do those
those
crazy mailing lists? It's like you had to subscribe to an email list, and it was super underground at some sketchy server at somebody's house. And the whole, I remember my first map point party too, and I was like, holy shit, this is like some serious. And of course, when you're involved in a scene that's sort of under the radar, which was the name of my first party. When you're in a scene that's that under the radar, there's some sketchy characters that, like, between like the substances and the money, the cash on hand money situation, and I know what you mean. And I got to a point where, like, man, I don't know if I want to do battle with anyone to go have fun. And I kind of, San Francisco flipped the script on that for me, but like, your involvement in the Southern California underground scene, that's super interesting to me, because I think organically it evolved into new things. And now you were working closely with Insomniac. Like, Insomniac was your tribe, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, he was the first promoter that was like really serious about taking this to the next level. We were underground kids. We wanted the raw warehouse vibe. We wanted the mystical, the new music that was coming out. But Pasquale was taking it to the next level, and he worked very hard at it. I would see him in his kitchen, like with his laptop, when I lived with him in Venice, and he would just be on his computer constantly, like organizing and making sure everything's like stable for the next event that was happening at the Coliseum. That this is the Coliseum days. After this is later, like in 2000. But going back, like, Pasquale was offering that job of like, hey man, you want to do this like for like life? Like, I'll pay you, just go and flyer and introduce people to this new thing. Like, and I'm like, yeah, this is like what I want to do with my life. This is what I want to do. Like, I want to be part of it. See, but back then I wasn't really thinking like, I can be a DJ, I can be a producer. I wasn't thinking like that. I was having fun. I was like being introduced to all these new things, that we all know about. And, my mind was set on like, I want to promote so I can get in. And because I had that mentality, I was able to cross promote for so many different promoters in LA, man. Taff, Pasquale, Jazz.
Okay, I just want to give a big shout out to Tef Fu right this minute.
Yeah, that's the man right there.
Because Tef it's so funny. I met him way back in the day during the Circa parties.
Yeah, Circa.
And like, just briefly, but he reconnected with me years and years and years later, and ended up being really instrumental in me going and doing this big contract, because I do stuff in the tech world. He connected me when he was I think he was the CMO of THC Design, and brought me in to help them with their digital program there a few years back prior to the pandemic. But he's just that guy. That guy is a day one stone cold, like. That guy gets it done. He gets it done. So I want to shout out Tef Fu.
Well, he's the original Teflon of rave, huh? He's the
oh my gosh.
He's what we
Yeah.
call
Oh
the
my God.
godfather of rave. I mean, he has been doing this like prior, like 88, 87. He was already like embarking into this quest of bringing this to us, you know?
There's a whole, we could do an episode just on Tef and his influence in the
Absolutely.
Southern
Real
California
events
scene.
and all of that. Oh, yeah, man. I mean, I promoted for them, you know, I promoted for a lot of big promoters in LA, B3 Candy Productions. Like, I promoted for them too, you know. Audiotistic, obviously, I promoted for Milo. You know, I was very good friends with Milo. You know, these friendships and all these bonds back in the early days were created through this promotional marketing that I was doing, that I didn't know what it was called, marketing, advertising, and it was actually a business. I had no idea, man. I hadn't, you know, like put that in my head that it was a big business, that it was about to become even bigger. For me, it was like, wow, this is great. I'm getting it free. I got guest list. I can get people in. I mean, I worked it together as one VIP line in the back of the stadium, and I was just getting all my homies in, man. And it was great. Oops, Pasquale, if you hear this, don't worry about it. That's a long time ago. Nah, but seriously, like, you know, like we will bring our groups of friends and say, hey man, come through, bro. I got you, you know, I got you, I got you. So that made me because what's funny is that when I was the outcast in high school and I was trying to find my way, the rave scene, I found the rave scene, and then the rave scene opened up the arms to me, you know, and I found a family, and I found like this group of people that were like looking and seeking for the same thing. That when I met my wife, the first thing I let her know, and she'll tell you this. Shout outs to my wife Irene, by the way. She's the backbone and support and the manager of
Big
all these
shout out.
operations.
Yeah, big shout
Okay.
out to Irene for sure. She's
When I met
you're
her, I
you're
told,
you're a very lucky man. Irene is a very special lady. So
thank you.
you guys together are like the power rave couple. I love it.
Ah, that's funny. Yeah. Well, you know, I was very blessed by God. I actually said, you know, you're gonna come out. We're gonna come across a lot of people that I know from my rave days. You know, when I used to be a promoter, and it's not gonna stop because I know different people from all the different genres. Because I used to go out to, man. I'm a house head at heart. Okay, house for life, bro. Okay, disco biscuits, new disco, all of that, but I'm also a raver at heart, and I'm a breakbeat guy, a jungle guy, quiet guy, you know, just listening. I love the sounds of all these other sounds. So I would go out back in my early days and explore on all of it, dip on all of it, you know. And believe it or not, here's a little trivia. And Scuba, from Respect, will back me up on this. That when they started the Junglist platoon, I was part of the Junglist platoon too, bro.
That's
But
awesome. That's
but
awesome.
I didn't know what it was become. You know, I wasn't a DJ. I was just collecting records, buying records, because I wanted to hear the songs from the beginning to the end. You know, so when I was building my collection of vinyl, I wasn't thinking like, oh, I'm building this to become a DJ. I just love the music so much, like many of us, you know. I just bought the records. I need to have these records. Like, bro, it was a great time, you know. Like I was doing that, but then life hits you in the face and you got to do something with life. Ray, like Pascual at this time, was dealing with the Coliseum issues. He was
Right.
dealing with LA legal lawsuits. And I told him, I had a conversation with him and said, bro, as much as I love doing this, like, I got to go find my way. Like, I got to find my what I'm supposed to be doing, you know, and so I can have a longevity in this in my life, you know.
Of course, yeah.
And so in 2000, that was it. Together as One was my last event. I got into Rancho Santiago College. I started taking business classes. I took music classes. I took communication classes, and these classes were all just to self-learn. Taught me about business because I was about to get into the world of real estate, so I can be able to make money and keep doing this rave thing on the side. But I had to put the rave thing on the side, you know. Life takes over.
It's really funny because I talk to so many people, and it's especially relevant in Los Angeles, where you talk to people that are like creatives that it's such a weird thing to be somebody who's right brained and creative and involved in the arts and simultaneously live in one of the most expensive places to live in the world, right?
Yeah,
So you're, and the irony is the places that are the most expensive to live are the ones that have the best music and art scenes, right? And it's I think I've been able to kind of navigate that in a way where, just like you, when I moved out to the Bay Area, when I moved, it was, I had dabbled in college a little bit doing some underground stuff, and I had a radio show at KSMU called
Oh, nice.
I had a radio show called Digital Landscapes, and at
Oh,
the time we had Gerard Hansen, aka Convection, come out,
nice.
and because Dallas is like a major hub for concerts and underground events and things like that, I was able to do an interview with Alex Patterson of the Orb back in the day.
Oh, that's
With
great, man.
I
Woo.
got I have a recording somewhere of me interviewing Genesis Peorage from Psychic TV, and all of these different folks that are like pretty iconic. And this was just a little carrier current radio station. And how I was able to kind of like boost my profile a little bit is like I would tape the shows, and I would send them out to outlets like CMJ. I started doing charts for CMJ, and but anyway, that was sort of my launch pad for the underground. But I always knew, the people that I knew that were in the Bay Area that were doing music full time, they were struggling. If you didn't have some other
Yeah.
form of income, you were, and I, it's part and parcel that the underground scene kind of comes with a number of potential pitfalls for individuals. And I think sadly you and I both know people that have succumbed to like really challenging
Yeah.
experiences, and in some cases just haven't survived those experiences, which is really sad. I mean, there's a lot of rave casualties out there, metaphorically and literally, and especially in recent years when everything has been so heavy, in the
Yeah.
scene in general. And I think there's just this logical like trajectory of like, as I get older, as I grow up, as I take on other responsibility, as I'm evolving as a person, like my whole outlook on the scene has changed a little bit. And coming from where you've come
Yeah. Same.
from and your experience and kind of moving, because you mentioned the real estate piece of your life as well, that you're a real estate agent and you're involved in that world. How has your relationship to electronic music culture changed since you've evolved into sort of the more responsible grown-up version
Ah,
of Maximus?
the more mature person. Well, the thing is, music is something that for me personally, music has something that it does something for me. I think that I've always listened to music, like electronic music. I never really deviated from that. When I had to give up this job with Insomniac, passing flyers and finding myself as an escrow officer, title officer. I mean, I've done the entire realm of real estate jobs, but I was always the paper pusher. Basically, I wanted the job to be in an office. This is the decision. When I made my decision to leave Insomnia for real estate, this is the thought process I went into my head. I kid you not. I want a job that I can sit down in an office. One, I want a job that I can work in a computer. Two, and I want a job that one day I can do from home, hybrid. Three, boom, fire. So, and, I was getting into that scene real deep. In the meantime, I wasn't thinking DJing. I wasn't thinking production. I was just listening. I was just taking it all in. This was a weird time in my life. I was going to school. I was working real estate. Like I wanted to be involved with music, but I didn't know what to do. I was finding my way. And then, Sublevel started happening, and that kind of reshaped the underground for me. It started giving me more inspiration. And then just
I
going,
would love to hear
you
about
know,
your relationship with Sublevel, because I know you and Doc Martin are super
oh,
close homies,
God bless
and
Doc.
and Sublevel to me, it kind of represents the model for how to have longevity in the underground, how to have success in the underground, and really diversify what it means to be part of this culture in a more mature, adult, evolved way. I would love to hear about your relationship with like how you transition from the work that you did with
Yeah,
Insomniac, finding your way as an adult, and then your involvement with Sublevel, and then all the other things that you've been working on up to the name change.
man, so much history. And I'll tell you what, I was trying to find my ways. And then Doc Martin, shout outs to Doc Martin Sublevel. He has been my idol. He has been my mentor. He has been a dear friend. He has been everything that I kind of started looking up to being as a DJ, and to this day, as he is the king of the West Coast house movement. Let it be no doubt about it. I'm the one saying it. I've been in this scene. I've seen it. He works very hard. He has gone through so many different trials and tribulations. I can speak for him, but as a friend, I can tell you that what he does is not very easy, and and to have longevity the way that he has done it, it takes a lot of guts, it takes a lot of strength, and it takes a lot of inner pushing that some of us don't have, and a lot of people don't can find. So I respect that a lot about him. You know, this lifestyle may seem glamorous and everything, but to be honest, like, it's hard, man. It's got a dog goes from one gig to another, and he, you know, he takes his little breaks, but you have to understand, like, he's a dance machine, bro. He gets the job done, and he is so fluid about it. And he is Doc Martin. He is the guy that I admire, and I'm probably gonna, you know, throw more cherries on top because I love the guy. I feel that as a DJ, that's when I found my passion, you know, for DJing and production. I was kind of lost still. I became lost again, you know, and that's when Sublevel started happening. I found the inspiration, and now taking it back to Doc Martin, with him, I found him a flammable liquid. Like when they were playing industrial in the back, and he was playing house in the front, but not just house, techno, you know, old school techno, the old school stuff. And I just, man, that passion that grew from watching his sets and play these records. Like, who plays records like this? I didn't even know you could play records like this, man. And where do you find these records? Like, what is this mystical magic thing that is happening here? So from the moment I discovered him in Flammable Liquid, I started following him on every event after that. I've pretty much gone to all the old school events where Doc has played, bro. I've seen the history, I've seen the masses, I've seen him grow, I've seen him expand, and like along, you know, like he expands, bro. He is LA, man. He is the guy that I look up to. When we say who's your LA hero, okay, and I know he's San Franciscan, okay, let's keep it real.
Hey, I would say Doc is the entire West Coast.
He's West Coast, man. To me, I mean, I don't care what anybody says. To me, I've been there, I've seen it. He is the West Coast master of house music, and we're very blessed and we're very lucky to have him in our backyard. You know,
Absolutely.
when sublevels were going on, I told my friends, I said, we need to enjoy every moment of this. We need to like soak everything in because eventually this will be gone too. Because, you know, there's a beginning, there's a middle, and there's an end to things. Like, it's like an amoeba, you know. But
it's there's so much of a deep, rich history, and I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Where, you know, and you mentioned this, it's like, you know, enjoy it while it's here, be in it while it's here. One of the things that I've really strived to do in whatever small way is to try to document the history of what's happening within the scene. And I did this piece for, you know, OK Player, which is Questlove's blog
nice.
about music and things. So OK Player had a division for a long time called OK Future, which focused on electronic music and reviews and things. And
Oh, wow.
I had the privilege of being able to write some for that. And I did this 3 or 4, maybe multiple part series about the San Francisco underground music scene in the 90s. And as I was excavating the information and digging through and kind of hitting up the boards on Facebook and hitting up the old school bulletin boards and hitting
Yeah.
up mailing lists, there's just so much rich history that, and you had said this before, you know, when you look at other popular music genres that are out there, if you look at anything in the pop music world, heavily documented, you've got Grammys, you've got the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You know, I know that for electronic music, I think the closest thing that we have to that is in Detroit in the Techno Museum that's maintained by Underground Resistance and
Sure.
all of the heavy dudes, you know, Mike Banks
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
and John Collins, and they're documenting specifically the Detroit electronic music underground. And you know, a few years back, I did this event with the guys from Black Lodge and Dex and Dave Aju, and we brought out T1000 and Claude Young, and we had Juliet Mendoza,
No, no, Juliet.
and Rochelle and all these really just beautiful people to do this event called LAXD, which was like trying to find that connective tissue, which is easy to find once you dig, between Los Angeles and Detroit techno. And it's a very, very clear, relationship with all of the cities, Chicago, Detroit, New York. You can find connective tissue. San Francisco,
Oh
Los
yeah.
Angeles, a Chicago house,
It's
obviously.
all networked. It's all networked.
It's all a network. But, I think you said something that was so poignant, and that is, the history of what we're doing and the experience of what we're doing right now doesn't really have a centralized place to like say, this is our history, this is what's going on. And I would really like to put it out there now that, I would like to start connecting with people like you who have been in the scene for a while, people like Doc who've sort of helped establish the scene, all the way up the coast, to say, like, let's establish something that is like an archive of electronic music culture from glitch to
That's a great
ambient
idea.
glitch to ambient to IDM to laptop in the 2000s, like the Kid 606s and the Sutex and Safety Scissors, all of that. Like, let's start to find an archive of something that where we can start to document this thing, because the reality is, I'm firmly planted in Generation X, like I'm somebody who's like, for life, baby, because I have no choice. So I think it's so important, because I think knowing your history allows you to do the proverbial building on the shoulders of giants, right? So I would venture to say this could be like a call to action. Let's find a way to start documenting these things, because I think it's super important. I think it's like, where's the West Coast Techno Museum? Where's the West Coast House Music Museum? Where's the West Coast Electronic Music? Because we've got such a rich, fertile ground of all of that. But I think it stems from exactly what you said. Let's enjoy this thing while it's here, and let's find a way to preserve and document our history.
Yeah, I mean, Doc is very inspirational to me. When I said that there was a beginning, middle, and end, I meant that there was like, we're gonna get all us going out to dance. But Doc reinvents himself like over and over, and I so admire that. I aspire to be like that as a human being, because he keeps reinventing himself, and he's still out there. He's killing it. He's rocking. Shout outs again to Doc. Thank you for all the love that you've given me throughout the years. And you know what? He's the one person that's always kept it really good with me. And I respect the man so much, and he knows. But I think that like in 2005 is when I started getting like okay, I need to do something now. I got all this vinyl. I've been collecting music. Like real estate is like, okay, I got that under my belt now. Like I got a good living going on. Like I can do something on the side maybe. And then this is like okay, I think I got a niche now. I mean, it's never too late. It's never too late, because it's music. And
dude, I am 100% with that. And the thing is, and here's the thing I'm noticing, to be perfectly honest, is like, we've got so many producers and DJs in our scene that are, I mean, frankly, like, of a certain age, X marks the spot again, that are like, I'm not stopping shit. I'm gonna rave to the grave. I'm going, and like, and I see like DJ Harvey, Garth, Yano from Wicked. Like, but I guess what I'm saying is there's such an abundance of DJs that, even 10 years ago would have been like, okay, thank you and good night, that are still, also shout out to Ron Decor, DJ Dan.
Yeah, big shout outs to Ron.
All the people, Raph Gold Code holding it down at
historians.
Well, KUCI, and here's the thing: Raph and I met in San Francisco when I was doing the under the radar parties in the Bay Area, and he and Dave Aju would show up religiously to my things, and they would always like, I got some burned CDs, I got some flyers, I got shit popping, let's go, let's do shit, and that energy to me was like, that fueled me, that inspired me.
It's exciting.
But I think we're entering a new era where a lot of the people that have been producing since the 90s are like, I'm not stopping anything. I don't care if I've been in the game for 35 years or whatever. I'm going to go until the fucking wheels fall off. And but the thing about it that I love right now is that there is a very, and you can subscribe to whatever philosophy you want to here, but I feel like there's an element of like, also, I really started to do yoga and I've become a vegan and I do meditation and I'm sober. And like there are people that have seen the whole spectrum of the early rave casualties, because really honestly, rave was just to me just adjacent to punk rock, right? It was very much
Sure.
like live fast, die young, drink smart drinks, right? There
Well,
was a
the ravers were also punk rockers, you know.
oh yeah, you're like break-in parties and the substances and all of those
Totally.
things. And I'll be honest, like that was part of the appeal to me. This is like
Yeah.
underground as fuck. This is outside of the system. This is truly alternative because I think especially the kids that grew up because I had a really diverse scene that I grew up in Oklahoma, and then we would always go to Dallas for shows, and I kind of got into it at the same time that I got into like the finding out about old school punk rock, finding out about like hip hop, early hip hop stuff. And it all was just sort of this multi-genre paella of things that I experienced, but it was always left of center. It was never in the pop culture. It was never that. But that lifestyle you can only maintain that for so long before tragedy it gets involved. And I think that
Yeah.
the common thread that I can see between all of the people that have been in this basically since day one is that they've had to turn this corner and really face their own demons and say, look, if I want to have longevity, if I want to create something that is of value, I need to go through that process of reinventing myself. And on the note of reinvention,
Huh.
I would like to talk about your move, your move into production, and B, how you got to the name change, because that's endlessly fascinating to me, Max. I want to hear all about that. But I want to hear about your productions and how you made the leap from DJ to producer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just a few years ago, we had something called the COVID. Anyway, but let's rewind a little bit further back because, like, seriously, when I got the itch to become a DJ or DJ, not I never looked at it like I want to become a DJ. I looked at it more like I really enjoy playing music for people. Like this is really fun. Like this gets me another level of high energy. But I feel like having that gone through. Okay, now I'm gonna pursue this DJ thing. Like I but again, I was drinking. When you are a DJ, you seem to have a lot of like free alcohol around you all the time. And then follow the momentum. But if they follow momentum the way that I follow momentum, it may wreck your life. And what I mean by that, it didn't wreck my life, but I was already starting to become overweight. I was already starting to get skin issues. I was having these weird rashes coming out of nowhere. I was really big, like my stomach was really big, and I hit it really well, I mean, alcohol is a hell of a drug. It's the worst one of them all. I don't. My personal experience was that as I became a DJ and more in depth with that, the alcohol of drinking beer became more and more. Then by the time COVID hit, I was already submerged in like I need to drink 5 o'clock because it's COVID time. And so I would start pounding every day at 5 o'clock until midnight, and not just regular beers, man. We're talking heavy duty IPA. It got to the point that I would tell my wife we need to drive to 4 different stores to find what I'm looking for. And I was really in a lot of pain, and mentally my mom had passed, all these things have already had happened. And friendships were being broken up because friends go different ways. No negativity against anybody. It just happens. But the alcohol at that point, COVID hit. I started drinking more, and I started noticing I'm becoming sloppier with my mixing. I'm becoming sloppier with myself. I was becoming depressed, and I was going down this rabbit hole that I did not like. Hit my rock bottom. Alcohol wasn't feeling good anymore. It was making me feel rotten. I was feeling aches in the side of my liver. I was just, my shirts weren't fitting me. I hit rock bottom, and I woke up and I said, that's it. I'm done. And we're throwing all the alcohol out. I have to take a break.
And
Oh,
so when you talk about those transformations, was your stopping the drinking influential in producing music and becoming a music producer and kind of focusing on that and changing
Yes.
your whole persona and your name from Maximus C to Maximus G, which is dope, by the way. Maximus
Thank
G.
you. I appreciate that.
Maximus G sounds, well, it's a G, baby.
I mean, listen, when this was happening, when my change was going on, the first person that I paid attention to, the one DJ that's doesn't drink, his name is Doc Martin. He does this without alcohol, and I noticed that he's really like sharp. He does 4 CDJs at once. And I noticed, like, I want to be able to do this too. Like, I want to be like this. I want to be, once again, the role model from before have become again the role model from today.
And then,
Such amazing
to get back to the music part and how
Yeah.
you transition into starting to produce music.
Absolutely.
I noticed that on socials too, as you, again, through this evolution, the stopping of the alcohol, the rebranding of the name. So I Nice Jam, IntelliG, Fresh Dance, Ohm Me Now, walking in the shadows, the funky grooves. Like, you've been prolific, my friend. You have been really, really pushing it out there, and like,
Thank you.
I'm just in awe of this sort of grind that you have, where you're just getting it out there. Post stop drinking, you've got this new attitude, you've got your health front of center, which, again, blueprint for longevity. How where are you on your producer journey, and where are you on this rebranding from Maximus C to Maximus G?
Yeah, I mean, it all comes with the territory. Okay, so let me rewind a little bit too, because when I was drinking a lot and wanting to produce, first of all, I couldn't do it. It was just not happening. I was getting frustrated. But during the COVID and all of that, I was learning a lot. I was digesting a lot. Then I went through a phase of learning production, and I'm self-taught on everything. Look, I've sat down with Doug, but I'm self-taught, on everything from playing the keys to playing guitar to playing with drum machines to playing with anything that's machine. I just love machines, hardware, synth, software. I love both of that. So once the alcohol is gone, guess what happens? Oh my God, I'm putting music out. Wow, what do you know? What do you know? And what that tells me that for all this time, I've had a blocker on. Like, I've had this blocker with all this partying, and because good times. But the reality is that when I found music production, and when I really took it seriously, and when I had a focus, and when I had the momentum for this, meaning that I was sober, and now I'm working out, I'm eating right. This is not just, for now. No, this is a lifestyle. You have to take care of this now as we get older. And if I'm going to be making music and if I have all these ideas, all these things I want to do still, I have this much time. I want to make this much stuff, but I have this much time. The young kids are coming in. They have all this time in the world. Kids, pay attention. This is a lesson for you. You're young. You have all of this. Do it. Get it. So, with that said,
happy early birthday to you. I know January is a ways off.
January, still ways to go.
Don't age yourself. Don't age yourself.
No, but you know what? I feel better than most young kids will probably do today. And I'll tell you what, I really focus on my health. And when you focus on your health, everything comes along. Everything falls into its place. It's all these titles that you read on my music production have been things that I went from scratch to zero to making those songs, and not being able to make any songs before that time. I have all these ideas of music now that are coming to me, and I have 4 songs that I'm going to send to Nonfiction to master. By the way, one of them is my wife's vocals and my vocals.
Yeah, I heard a sample of that, and I shouted out and tagged you both. I was like, "That's dope. That sounds so good."
It's a goodie, bro. It's a goodie. And it's because the passion is there, the energy is there.
I got to give you props for it. And as we're getting to the end of our hour here, I want to just ask you one last question. Is, in this new iteration of yourself, in this envisioning and reinvention and recontextualization of who Maximus is as an artist, as a individual, as a friend, as a producer, as a creative, what is on the horizon? What is next for you?
Well, again, my main focus right now has just been to leave a body of art that I can leave behind once I'm going to my next journey one day. You know, I want to be proud of my body of work that many generations of house music people from our scene will be able to one day say, wow, what is this? And it will have my name on it, and I'll forever live through this music that I'm putting out now. And that is my dream. That is the goal, to put the music out and eventually put vinyl out too, and just keep creating and just keep embracing life, keep being healthy. And you know, that's my goal now, just being healthy minded. And that means getting your 8 hours of sleep, eating your vitamins, working out, eating right, and making music. And it's been just a beautiful journey. And that's where I'm at. But I got some festivals, things lined up. I got an EP lined up that I'm just waiting for some masters to be done.
Nice.
So there's quite a lot of things working itself. And now I decided that if I DJ for the last thing, if I DJ, I'm going to do it where I want to DJ. I'm not pursuing it. But if I want to go somewhere, I'm going to ask the promoter. And if it's doable and if it's a yes, then God meant it's yes. And if it's not meant, then it means no. And it doesn't hurt and it doesn't bother me because life continues. Music production, it's everything to me right now. It's like all the beautiful things of music, anything music related, as you can see, it to me, that's it. I'm a music man. And that's how I want people to get to know me. Maximus Grooves fits the personality of the music I play and the music that I'm making. I mean, that's how I feel about it. And I appreciate you having me on your show. Seriously, it's been great. We can talk. I told you, we can talk all day long, and we can
All
keep
day
going
long,
on and
all
on.
on and on and on. Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate you. You are a righteous dude, and from the very beginning when I met you, you were
Thank
just
you.
so affable, so loving. So you like the energy that you and your wife like get off like it give off is just like warm and inviting and loving, and you've been so gracious and so kind, and you know that's such a rare thing in the world today, and you guys really shine a light for through your events, through your music, and just through the way that you show up in the world. So thank you so much for your time today. This has been Maximus Grooves. We've gone from carnivorous to very groove. Thank you so much, sir, for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll give you a shout soon, my friend.
Thank you,
Peace.
brother. I'll see you around the underground.
Yes, sir. You certainly will.